5th meeting of the Board of Trustees. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I just say something real quick? If you were trying to get onto our Wi-Fi, it is not working. So if you have a cellular device, I think you can go ahead and just use your own today, because we're just having really big issues here in the meeting room. Sorry.
No problem. Kelly, would you let the record show that we are all present? Moving on to the approval of the consent agenda. Any questions? Everybody have a chance to look at that?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any further discussion and questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Okay, moving on to announcements and communications. Anyone have any announcements? Communications? Okay. I do. Go ahead, John. Go.
I don't know if everybody's seen it, but according to the National Council for Home Safety and Security, they released its safest cities 34 measured. We are number 21, which is in the top 25. The city, of course, is number 5, but we're way ahead of a lot of them, so just wanted to announce that.
Very nice.
Thanks, John.
I want to mention really quick, if I could, and I
ahead,
see
John.
that the mayor is here tonight. I think that I'd like to try to get, maybe on an annual basis, a meeting together with the city. Most people don't understand where the borders are even located. We're kind of function as one community lot, and I think it would really be nice if we could, at some point in the future, when the schedules work out, get all of us together so we can put faces with names, and we have enough common projects with pathways and road struggles and things like that we might be able to work together on, and at least have a good open line of communication. I know that certain members talk back and forth, but we haven't had an opportunity to kind of all get together recently, and I just would suggest that if everyone's in favor and open to that on both sides.
Okay, well, we can get together, Dan, if you'd like that. Okay, sounds good. Okay, any others? Okay, I do have a few things. As you know, we have a little display as you walk in the door. We're very, very proud of some of the things we're doing here for the township. Number one, I don't know if you've seen the 2018 Ford pickup truck that's sitting out there with a nice big V-plow on the front. That's Mr. Bob Martin's new truck. He's our DPW guy, and he's going to be running that around. You're going to see that around the neighborhood. The second thing is we bought a 2018 John Deere for our maintenance for brushing our sidewalks. We've never had that before. It also has a big front mower deck. It has a snow blower and a salter on the back and a broom. And just to show how well it worked, we had that nice heavy snow, and we literally cleaned the sidewalks that we were paying $1,000 a push on in about an hour and a half. So very, very high end. Also, you've seen the police gator out there. That's our new sheriff's gator that's going to be patrolling our bike trails. So you'll see that presence on the bike trails. If any of you walk on the bike trails, it's going to be a really nice thing to see. Next thing, I don't know if you noticed our display case we're building in the front. The whole corner of the front of our entrance at the hall here will be set up for display for maybe organizations of the month, injured soldiers, Boy Scouts, artifacts of the township, something kind of nice. And then the other thing, if you notice on the outside of the building, we have a nice sidewalk lighting, boulevard lights now that have been broke down for years, and we have them all put back together. So I'm just very, very pleased with the things that we're doing here for the Township Hall, and I hope everyone notices that we're trying to make it a very nice place and welcoming for everyone. So thank you all for coming tonight also. I like to see full houses. I like to have your input on everything. Thank you all. Moving on, anyone like to come up and have anything to add to any announcements or communications? Okay, we're moving on to call to the public.
Yep, come on up.
Oh, come
No.
on up. Come on up, sorry. Gotta be quicker than that around here.
I'll make it quick, I promise. Dan Pelchat, 255 Wellington, South Line, Michigan. I just wanted to come up here tonight. One of the platforms I ran on for mayor of South Line was to work on the communication between the township and the city. And I don't really have an excuse for why I haven't been out here yet. I mean, until you get in the ring, you know, certain things can pop up, and I won't say take priority, but kind of direct you in which way you're going to go. I would tell you over the past couple weeks, obviously we've had some incidents in our public schools that stretch across the city of South Lyon and Lyon Township. And I guess I'm going to come in here tonight and I'd like to take some notes on how exactly we got to this solution. I would also say that the city of South Lyon and its representatives in our new council weren't really contacted on this situation.
Okay, well, Dan, if we're gonna talk about one of our agenda items,
Yep,
it'll come when that comes, if
Okay,
you don't
that's-
mind.
That's
We're
perfectly
kind of
fine.
in announcements and communications right
Yep.
now, so.
And then I just wanted to tell you guys the same thing I tell my staff or the staff of the city and all the other elected officials is that I'm an email or a call away. And I was just going to leave a couple cards here for everybody. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other announcements? All right, we're moving on to the call to the public. This is when you can come up and talk about unrelated agenda items. And you have about 3 minutes to do so, so state your name and address also for the record, please.
Name is Gary Rickard. I live at 25348 Buckminster, Novi, Michigan, 48375. Yes. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Like the first car you ever bought, at some point, it needs to be turned in for a new model. That is the same way for Haas Lake Park. With some of the campsites we first built in the early 70s, these campsites have reached their useful life. And like your car, first car, you probably didn't want to put hundreds of dollars into it and still not have the great features that a newer model would have. These 1970 campsites are only water and electricity sites with limited electrical power. It just doesn't make sense for us to upgrade these campsites and still not have the current camping public's wants. They want sewer and water hookups and 50 amp electrical power. So we're looking at a new path, one that was anticipated years ago, and please let me explain. I passed out one of these. If you look at it very quickly, if you look at like A, B, C, D, E, F, all around the lake, those are all like acres. And my dad and his partner, Clayton Rickard, Dallas Fletcher, in their wisdom at the time, in the 70s, anticipated that these would be, at some point, residential use. And that's why they laid the road system out, particularly in this area, for that use. So all I've come today is, one of the things I think we could do, and I've looked at it fairly carefully, is senior housing. Well, we're kind of in the senior housing business already, because if you looked at our campers and who they are, probably well over 50% are already seniors. So we would want to do something in the senior housing area in this part of our campground, in our phase 1. So that's what we're planning. But one of the reasons I came here today is, and I have my name and cell phone, is I would love input. What is a township? And I want to go to the planning commission and say the same thing. What would you want in senior housing? That's really all I came to tell you, that we are planning in this direction, and we'd love to have your input. So I would welcome calls from any of you anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, anyone else like to come up? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to the report part. DDA, Tina, anything going on?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I just wanted to give you a couple of updates. First of all, I'll be attending the Michigan Downtown Association hosted Lansing Day this Wednesday, where updates will be provided regarding new legislation on downtowns and tax increment financing. There'll also be an opportunity to discuss issues with legislatures that are important to downtowns and in townships in particular. So really looking forward to this event. Also, I invited a local business, Aero Design Services, to participate in a Google First Technology event that was held on February 27th. Only 8 companies were chosen to participate, and they were one of them. This event was hosted by Oakland County Tech 248, Google, and the Michigan Film and Technology Industry. It was held at the Southfield Pavilion. The company gained great exposure and is looking forward to future networking opportunities. They are also poised for growth, and we're working out details with the owner to confirm his position as our new tech champion for Lyon Township in regards to Tech 248. So it's a position that we have not filled yet, so we're excited to have him come on board. The main focus for economic development here in the township involves business attraction and retention. While we're certainly attracting many new businesses into our community, retention is a critical component. With that in mind, I've been working with our Michigan Economic Development Corporation retention representative to set up retention calls throughout the year. These retention calls reach out to our local businesses and corporations to assess their current needs for growth and to ensure that they grow and stay in the township versus leaving the township. So it's another resource that I'm tapping into for the MEDC to kind of help us through that process. Also, we have a new Taco Bell coming to the Line Crossings. Dr. Dunwell Dentistry, which is located on the south side of our township across from the McDonald's. They're having a ribbon cutting event on March 20th at 9 a.m. Also, we'll be scheduling a ribbon cutting event for Cottage Inn Pizza for their main grand opening, which is going to be in April. They're open now, but they have a big event scheduled. Pita Way is a new restaurant. It's a Mediterranean-style grill. It has opened in the Lion Plaza on Milford Road, just 2 doors down from the Leo's Coney Island. And we'll be scheduling a ribbon cutting for that new business as well. And then I just wanted to provide you information on this. Each month, I'll be reporting to the board on the progress that's being made with the township website redesign. So we've completed a questionnaire to the contractor Revise, and we've submitted desired layout navigation designs as well as numerous photographs. Tomorrow we'll be having a kickoff meeting here. We'll be discussing the timeline to migrate the existing information in the first round revision. If you recall, there's 3 rounds of revisions as we work through this process, and it should take about 4 to 5 months to complete. So hopefully by the end of June, we'll have a brand new website up and running. So I'll be soliciting input, but on a regular basis, we'll be reporting to the board on our progress as we move along. And that concludes my report.
Oh, very nice. Thank you, Tina. Chief, Vince Marantek, you got anything for us today?
Good evening. Just briefly, reminder that May 12th is our fire prevention open house, which is going to be on a Saturday from noon to 3, and all of the public is invited to come out. This is usually held in most communities in October, so we have less competition, and fire prevention is year-round. So the other thing is,
Chief, what was that date?
May 12th, Saturday.
Okay.
And internally, right now, what we're looking to do is promote a position of sergeant. So right now, we're taking interested and eligible candidates till next Friday, and hopefully at the next meeting or the meeting in May, I'll be coming to you with the recommendation for promotion. That's and one other thing, we are always and continuing to still look for on-call firefighters. So if you're in the primarily in the Lyon Township area and know somebody, or if you're interested in joining the firefighter ranks here in Lyon Township, come fill out an application. You can also fill it out online, and we'd be happy to put you through the interview process. That's my report.
Hey, Chief, you heard anything about the engine?
No, nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing substantive yet, other than the paperwork's all been filed. It's moving forward, and we're still probably looking at August or September, and we will make sure we have it parked out here
I hope so.
as well. So
Can't wait to
Want the
see it.
sirens on, too,
you'll-
just the lights.
it'll be like Bronner's. You'll see it.
Thanks, Chief. Lieutenant, you have anything for us today? Look like a lobster.
Si, senor.
I think that was a fun-filled week.
Good evening, everybody. It was a fun week in Mexico. It's
Hey.
Cabo's a nice area. If you ever get a chance to go down there, I suggest it. All the rumors you hear about Mexico as far as safety, that place is probably the most fortified fortress.
Were you
down
dressed
there.
like that?
No.
Oh.
But like,
Much safer.
Short sleeves.
But it can be a little unnerving because they ride around in the back of pickup trucks with fully automatic weapons down there, and they run around the streets. But it keeps the riffraff out of there totally. There, you can walk around anywhere in Cabo and San Lucas and not have to worry about it. So.
Oh, fun.
I missed February's board meeting, and I had the update at that time, and I want to just wait till March to let everybody know that Mr. Kelm is now out of Ed State, our motorcycle club arsonist. Well, that part hasn't been proven yet, but we definitely can prove that he is the one that broke in there. The arson part of it is still working. His name is Kinley Kelm, and he's lived everywhere here on the west side of Oakland County. And he's a lifelong criminal, so he's looking at some substantial time, and he's pleading that he's mentally incapable of standing trial, so we'll just have to wait. He's on bond, he's still in the jail, and trial will be set here sometime soon, after it's determined that he's mentally capable of standing trial. So, that's all I have. Oh, and I'm sure all you got calls just like we did when 8 Mile was closed. There was a lot of tickets handed out there because what people were doing is driving around the barricades up on people's lawns to get around the barricades, to bypass that little section that was closed because of the road conditions. So a lot of tickets were handed out. I think they were happy. I told the residents there to call me as soon as they seen them doing it, and I tried to keep somebody down there the whole time because it was tearing their lawn up. So. Other than that, that's all I have.
Well, thanks, Lieutenant.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, Patty, moving on to the Planning Commission.
Okay, we had 2 meetings in the month of February. The first one was Monday, February 12th. We had no public hearings, but we did have under old business the USA to Go special land use. And that was passed. And then under new business, we had the zoning ordinance revision text amendments, and those were passed. We also had the child care centers and group daycare homes. That text amendment was passed. And the mini warehouses text amendment, and that was passed, and that was regarding the gable roof. So I know we had talked about that. Then we had, the Planning Commission had a meeting on Monday, February 26th. And we had 3 public hearings, so it was kind of lengthy night. We had the campgrounds text amendment, which it was passed, and I think it'll be coming to the township board. We also had the Aspen Trail, which was formerly known as Aspen Gate. That was the property located on Martindale Road between Grand River and Pontiac Trail. That was a preliminary review. We still made some suggestions, and that was recommended up to the board. And also, we had the winemaking and distiller regulations text amendment. That was talked about, and we asked for some changes, so we tabled that to the next Planning Commission meeting so that we can set some specific hours for the home part of it. And so Patrick or Brian will take care of that and bring that back to the Planning Commission. Under new business, we had the Oak Ridge PD final review, and that was passed. And under also new business, we had Unit 6 of Quadrants Industrial Research Center site plan review, and that was also passed. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Police, ZBA have anything?
Oh, the ZBA did not meet.
Okay. Moving on, Park Advisory Board, do we have anyone in that?
The Park Advisory Board did not meet this month either.
John, I actually wanted to bring something up about that.
Okay,
You know, I had agreed to take on a cycle of it, and I have a conflict during the school year for that, but it was my understanding that there was no quorum, is that correct?
Yep.
And I don't know if, like, whose turn it is next for attending, but I feel kind of bad that they weren't able to meet because of not having a quorum. So I didn't know if, who's next, I guess.
Well, Sean's not able to do it, so if Chris can't do it either, then I guess I'm still at it.
Oh, okay.
Or you're back on, or I don't know if John is back on, John Hicks, but I think he's served all his time. So,
Chris?
I cannot, no.
Can't.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll continue if you can't do it either during the school
I
year.
can do it, I think I can do it once once summer vacation starts and band boosters stops, so.
Okay,
So we're gonna try to keep it in the same liaison.
yeah, evidently.
Okay, Bob, what you got?
Okay, we are very proud and pleased of our display of equipment out in front there tonight. We made sure all of that equipment was very clean and polished up, and we got a good chance to use it this past week, and we couldn't be happier with it. With spring coming, we're very excited about the fact that Rice Street, we will be dealing with the sidewalks there, making those repairs. The lighting on the ring road, the 3 lights missing, will be replaced in the very near future. And repair of the lights that have been flickering a little bit, those are gonna be addressed also. And on Wednesday of this week, Oakland County has a meeting we will be attending for, it's a yearly seminar for summer mosquito control. And by going to that, we get,
Grant.
we get some money for purchasing of supplies to deal with that. So with that said, things are going very well. Thank you.
And you wanna talk about how good the lift stations are doing?
We have 17 lift stations, and over the last 3 months, we've been tinkering with them and making improvements, and we are there. We have made some wonderful changes to the way they operate, they turn on and turn off, and we've reduced the amount of turn-ons by a pump. And to most of you folks, this may not seem like much because we're talking about underground sewage pipes and pumps, but we literally have taken pumps that we're turning on somewhere between 70 and 80 times per day and got it down to approximately 10 to 15 times per day. So the wear and tear on those pumps, the amount of Edison it takes to turn pumps on is being reduced, and we're very, very pleased. And I get a report every morning at 5:05 a.m. I'm not up at 5:05 a.m., but I read it the moment I get into the shop each morning, and I share it with John, and probably a lot of the staff up there is probably sick of me showing so much excitement about that, but I totally get off on that kind of stuff, so it's all good stuff.
And these are 35 and 40 horsepower pumps.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
these take a little bit of juice to kick on and off. So
Yeah, we're
it's
very,
really
very
saved
pleased.
us a lot of money.
And all I can say is thank you for giving me the time and the space to deal with that, because it's been great. Thank you.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bob. We're moving on to McKenna Planning.
Okay, just
I'll read that whole letter.
you don't want the whole letter? I'll give
can,
you
you
just
can.
a quick overview. Patty had mentioned a few zoning ordinances that the Planning Commission was talking about, and I just wanted to clarify the group daycare homes and the general text amendment cleanup stuff is scheduled for a public hearing for the next Planning Commission meeting. So that's the approval that they
Boy, I like that. That was
get.
fast.
So that's good. In terms of some of the site plans that we're working on right now, Tina mentioned Taco Bell, so that's my new spot to hit on my way after a meeting, so I'm happy about that. And then Lion Grill is doing an expansion as well, so the Planning Commission will hear that soon And then Tina and I spoke this afternoon. We've got a few ordinance amendments that may need clarification coming up, so we'll get working on that and make sure everybody's satisfied that the ordinance is doing what it needs to. So,
Perfect. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Okay, that concludes our reports, and we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda. Do we have any deletions or additions? We do have a deletion. We were contacted today by the Oakland SWA Pineview Site Plan Review and asked to be taken from the agenda. So we have to take that one off.
I'll move the approval of the agenda with the deletion of new business item 10A.
I'll support.
Okay, a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's move on. Unfinished business. Artesian of Pioneer Water. Hello, Ed.
Hello, good evening.
Ed?
Well, the bad news is there's still snow on the ground. So even if we had a permit, we couldn't get started because the winter is still here. But the other bad news is that we do not have a permit yet for woodwind. We're very close, I think. I don't want to put a date on when I think we'll have it by, but I think we're getting really close now to having that first water plant approved. The good news is 9 Mile Tower is approved, 9 Mile and Griswold. So we're waiting for the actual permit to come in the mail, but we have the verbal approval on that. So once the weather straightens up here, we could technically start on 9 Mile and start showing some construction, which everybody's anxious to get going, including me. The other good piece of news is that the hydrogeology report is now finished on the South Hill site. Plenty of water there, as we expected. We can operate all 3 of those wells simultaneously. Keep in mind, this is proven through a model, okay? It'll still have to go to DEQ for a formal approval, but the report and the expert in the field, the hydrogeologist, says that all 3 of those wells can run simultaneously to give us our 4,000 gallons a minute, which is what we're going to require there for that. That report will be finished up here, put on paper. In fact, it was. Correction. It was submitted to Jay on last Friday, so that report's already gone in. How long it takes for approval is yet to be determined. What else can I tell you? The South Hill drawings are now coming along. We're just waiting for woodwind to be approved. As soon as woodwind gets approved, keeping in mind that the South Hill plant is a mirror image of the woodwind plant, and we're making those corrections as they give us feedback. We're making the corrections to the South Hill so that the South Hill plant should be a fairly easy approval process. I say that lightly, but that's, should be a fairly easy approval process going forward. So, any questions that I can answer?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When you're talking about the approval at the woodwind, does that still include the softening component, or is that still aside?
We now have a path forward on softening. The approval process that's in the basket right now is just for the iron and manganese and the metals that are in the water. However, we do have a plan forward for the softening, and we believe softening will be approved at the woodwind site. Yes. And that will be the next submittal. That'll probably go in with the South Hill plant. We'll submit the softening for woodwind. It's going to be kind of a staged process here, but my original thought 5 months ago was, we go in, we get one tower approved, one plant approved, so we can actually start construction. And while we're building those, then we can get the other plant approved and the other tower approved. And And never did I dream that we would be sitting here 5 months later without the first approval. Of course, we have the 9-mile tower now, so we're getting there. We're getting there, and things should move right along now as we get into spring. So,
Anybody else?
any other questions?
No questions.
And I believe if we get the filter process underway, it's going to improve the water probably 90%.
Oh, your residents will love the water just when it's just filtered, even without softening. But the softening will be something they'll enjoy as well. And the softening obviously is something that we looked at doing to try to eliminate some of the concerns down at the wastewater stream too. So that's all very doable and still in the works. But John's right. As soon as we can get one tower online and the filtration of Woodwind, your residents will recognize a dramatic difference in their water quality. Yeah.
Perfect.
Glad they're running out of questions. I wish they would have run out of questions 90 days ago,
Yeah, exactly.
holding the process up.
Yeah. Well, you and me both. Takes a lot of patience. I got a lot of gray hair, as you can see, so I've been dealing with bureaucrats my whole life. But
Look at mine, look
He's
at
only
mine.
35 years old.
that's just because I had a birthday yesterday. No.
Happy 35th.
All right. No, I was just kidding. I wish I was 35. But thank you, and if there's any other questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I'll let you get on with your meeting. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to the consideration of the adoption of the amendatory ordinance for the Charter Township of Lyon Estates of Hutsfield, PG. Final review. Brian, you want to take that one over?
Absolutely. If you recall, at your February 5th meeting, you had the first reading of this ordinance, which is for 214 single-family detached units at the northeast corner of Griswold Road and 8 Mile Road, to be completed in 5 phases. And the large majority of your conversation at that point in time was revolving around some of the sewer provisions along Griswold Road. And so I'm sure Ray will answer those questions for you here this evening. But I just want to do a quick rundown of how we got to where we're at. The second reading would be your final reading on this, which would essentially provide final approval from the township perspective. So as a plan development, we've got 3 stages of approval: conceptual, preliminary, and final, both of which require planning commission and board review. The conceptual review was completed by the Planning Commission in August of 2016, followed by the board in September of 2016. Moving on to preliminary plan review, the Planning Commission held the required public hearing in November of 2016 and followed the board approved the preliminary plan in February of 2017. Finally, in January of this year, on the 8th, the Planning Commission recommended final approval. And then, as I mentioned, you had your first reading last month. So to that end, we've completed and done a lot of vetting on this process. In terms of updates from your previous meeting, from the planning perspective, there was nothing significant, so we would defer any comments that the engineer has or any that we've received from the attorney.
Okay. Do you have anything to add, Leslie, before we
I
get?
just want to add that the applicant addressed the issue regarding the sanitary sewer, and it's now proposed along the entire frontage of Griswold Road with a very short exception near 8 Mile, but it will service all of the large acreage parcels on the west side of Griswold. My only comment is that at the intersection, there's still a little stub of pavement for the road crossing would need to be added, but that we'll make that a requirement during the detailed engineering review. But everything else has been addressed.
Okay.
Ramps.
Yeah, the ramp.
Okay, Ray, you got anything to say before we get some
I
questions?
think between Brian and Leslie, they've covered it. The big issue was the sanitary sewer frontage. We completely redesigned the sanitary sewer system internally, and now we have frontage sanitary sewer all along Griswold.
Okay. All right, that being said, let's open this up for discussion. Anyone here on the board have any questions for the developer?
I have a question and a comment. I'm losing my voice, so I apologize. I must admit that I'm surprised and pleased that you did actually bring in sewer there. I might have fallen off my chair when I read that, so, but I do have a question still regarding the housing product. And I know that the market drives ranches, and I talked extensively about that last month. What would you expect perhaps in a product or in a development like this would be that maybe the percentage, not necessarily the numbers, but the percentage of ranch homes that may be within this type of development?
Dick, I don't know if you want to try to answer that or not. I can try. I do know that there is a trend towards ranches now that previously has not existed.
I was right all along.
And that's obviously a very, it's a marketing consideration that the builders will have to take under advisement. But I did take your comments from the prior meeting back to the ownership group with your indication that you would like to see ranch houses available. I know that they're going to provide ranch housing available, and it'll be driven by the market, is all I can tell you.
Right.
If I had to guess, based upon what I've seen in the last year, I would say in a typical development where you would traditionally see 100% 2 stories, that now you're seeing probably anywhere from 10 to 20% of ranches.
Okay.
So there's been quite a shift.
Okay. I think what my biggest concern is to see that endless line of
Two-story.
Of two-story homes.
Yeah.
And so if there could maybe be an effort to break that up, I think that would make a much nicer looking product.
I appreciate your input, and again, I've passed that on to the ownership group.
And that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have one about the plan development agreement. Carol's not here tonight, but she did express a comment on with section 10D about the contribution toward the signal, toward the permanent signal at 8 Mile and Griswold. The language says up to 150,000, and her comment was that it should just be 150,000.
I don't remember that comment, but I know that our ownership group has pledged a maximum of 150. And that's where they stand.
Okay, I guess where we were going with that was to get it as just a set dollar amount.
Okay.
The reason that we'd like not to do that is because it may not cost 150,000 for that stuff that we want to build. And so we're pledging up to 150 if necessary, but if not, then whatever it costs will be covered up under 150. So that's the reason we'd like not to set the number firm if possible. Okay?
I don't recall, was it previously a set number, or was it just a specific, I know we talked about the light, and obviously at 8 Griswold that should stay, is going to stay. I don't recall.
I think that 150 came from what we budgeted for that light. I think that came from Oakland County.
Okay, I guess the other half of it is the developer submitted traffic impact study, also recommended a light at 9 Mile and Griswold. So my thought was if it is a set amount, then part of that money left over could go toward the light at 9.
Would you just dedicate 150 to the project?
I don't have the authority to do that.
Do you?
I can ask my partners.
Okay.
Traffic lights cost pretty close to that, so I can't imagine that you're being asked to go
We've had some
very far.
ballpark estimates at a 1.25, because it's understanding that the physical pavement improvements are in place, so it's just a signalization. So 150 could be more than enough to cover the signal.
Okay. We're gonna get a signal.
Pardon me?
We're gonna get a paid-for signal.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's in the paper. Does anyone want to, any other questions? Does anyone want to put a motion together for this?
I'll make a motion to approve AP 16-26, subject to all of the comments in the review letters in the packet and the discussion. I'm going to ask for $150,000 toward improvements. Either the light costing $150,000 or whatever the difference is between the light, given the fact that it's warranted at 9 Mile as well in your traffic study. And I don't think it's a significant number of dollars that we're talking about for the number of homes that are being built.
I'll support.
Okay,
You want to go with 150?
you good with that? All right, well, we have a motion and a support. Anyone else like to comment? All right, seeing none, I'd like this one called by roll, please, Kelly.
John Dolan?
Yes.
Sean O'Neill?
Yes.
Chris Brendlo?
Yes.
John Hicks?
Yes.
Joe Chicago?
Yes.
Michelle Cash?
Yes.
Lisa Blake?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And you are going to spend the 150 at Griswold and 8 Mile, right?
Heck yeah, we're going to
Absolutely.
spend it.
And then 9 Mile with whatever's left over.
I would just hate to see you take the 150 and apply it to completely different.
Those intersections are warranted and need help, so I'd be all in, that was my intention, is to spend it at those two intersections. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we deleted the next item in new business, so we're going to move on to the consider agreement for the assignment and the use of a school resource officer. And I'd like to bring this one up. I believe the school board is here, and I would like them to come to the microphone and kind of propose their situation to the board, please.
Good evening. My name is Ben Kirby. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Administrative Services of South Lyon Community Schools. This is Karen Fisher. She's our South Lyon East High School principal. And this is Chad Scaling. He's our South Lyon High School principal. So last year, going into this upcoming school, or this current school year, we worked with you and the city to have a school resource officer. Fortunately, we are able to have a school resource officer in South Lyon East High School, and that has gone very well. Unfortunately, we were not able to get a school resource officer in South Lyon High School, and that's why we're here tonight. Karen Fisher, the South Lyon East High School principal, would like to talk a little bit about the benefits that they've seen of having a school resource officer in their school every day.
Thank you. Good evening. Again, I'm Karen Fisher. I'm the principal of East. I just wanted to let you know.
Your name and, just for the record, your name and
Karen
address.
Fisher?
Yes.
I actually live in South Lyon. Do you need my address or no? 61.
Board
Okay.
office is good, probably.
Okay.
The whole high school population doesn't need
Yes.
your home
Yeah,
address.
that's what
No, I guess that's
hoping I
probably
didn't
not
have
a
to give
good
it
thing,
out,
is
but-
it?
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay, so we are fortunate enough to have Oakland County Sheriff Deputy Tom Biggers as our school resource officer at South Lyon East High School. Tom came to us early last fall expressing an interest in acting as the SRO for East and began developing relationships with students, staff, and parents almost immediately. Since he was officially hired in April of last year, he's been present on a daily basis and interacts with students and staff regularly. In addition to providing the visible presence of law enforcement on campus, our SRO has logged over 150 different assignments or incidents where he personally intervened as a law enforcement official, providing counsel or support to South Lyon East students and ultimately to our community members. These incidents or assignments range from assisting with traffic concerns, domestic issues including abuse, substance abuse, support for athletic and extracurricular events, welfare checks for struggling families, social media investigations, threat investigations, and he recently took 9 students to the OCBA Annual Youth Law Conference and participated as in a recent parent forum regarding social media and substance abuse. So he's been critical and and these are just a few of some of the things that he's been doing for us. Of course, we have over 1,000 students in our building, and he is with them on a daily basis. So these are just some that I had a feeling this day was going to come. So we've been documenting since day one, just the major things that had he not been there, we wouldn't necessarily have had law enforcement intervention. I share all of this with you because as of late, the school resource officer has played an important and critical role of notifying administration of concerns regarding the health and safety of the students at East and elsewhere in the community. Because Deputy Biggers has immersed himself in our school community, he's developed a network of contacts within the school district that he's able to personally interact with and contact at a moment's notice when concerns arise, and he has done that on a number of occasions. Relationships are critical in schools, and while all law enforcement agents that serve South Lyon have been responsive and helpful, it's been incredibly reassuring to our building to know that should there be anything that threatens our safety, a trusted, well-known law enforcement agent is present every day at all times. While Tom has only been with us for 11 months, I truly believe his relationships will only strengthen the connection between our school and the community as we work to keep our students safe and able to focus on learning. I would personally like to thank Lieutenant Venus and those that supported the hiring of the SRO for East. We certainly appreciate all Deputy Biggers has done for us and look forward to working with him as we move forward. Thank you again. I appreciate your support, and so do the students and teachers and parents at East. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So on behalf of the school board, we would like to continue that same type of collaboration at South Lyon High School. Certainly the deputies and the program that is available through the county sheriffs is immense with the training programs for the SRO, which is essential for the relationships that Karen talked about, the helicopters, the SWAT team, and all the over 1,000 deputies that we would have potential access to. And certainly where we're at in these days, it's very important for us to have an officer every single day as a presence. The city has been incredibly responsive, and we're very thankful for that. At South Lyon High School, it's just the need that we have is to have a deputy there every single day, so our families can depend on it, so our students can depend on it, and our staff can depend on it. So we'd like to ask that you consider a collaborative agreement for South Lyon High School, the same as the South Lyon East High School.
Okay, thank you. I'll be honest with you. I was extremely impressed with our deputy at East also. And I'll give this board kudos because it took us seconds to say yes for that. They were willing to put the money in the hat for the one at East. I guess we have to open this up for questions, and if you wouldn't mind fielding some questions, I'd like to let the board ask some questions. Anyone have some questions for them?
It's not so much questions as more the agreement.
Well, that's part of it, though. The agreement that was sent over to us and the cost sharing part of it. I was thinking you may have some questions about that.
Just do you have the agreement, Ben, with you in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. So number 4, under terms.
Are you under Exhibit C? Where are you at?
First page.
First page.
Page 1.
Okay.
Page 1. Sorry.
That's all right.
Right in terms.
Okay.
It says the terms of this agreement will be for 1 year, and that's really should be for 4 months.
I would agree.
Okay. Then on page 2, again, it states that it will be from July 1 through June 30th. This agreement will continue on a year-to-year basis, but that's not what I
Correct. We're requesting for the remainder of the school
So it's
year,
really
yes.
only for 4 months, and right at this time, it's non-renewable till what the school suggests.
Correct.
And then under compensation, it says, agrees to pay up to 50% for the portion each year is in session. It would be 16 weeks, I believe, not 40 weeks. So that just has to.
With the prorated amount,
Right.
correct, yes.
And then in the next paragraph, it says, the township shall bill the school in 10 periods annually, and that's probably going to be 4, I think.
Yes.
once
Do it
per month.
monthly.
Yes.
Those were the corrections I saw in the agreement.
Yep. And that is fair, and that reflects what we're asking.
I have a question regarding, what's the plan for next year?
So we're here on behalf of our school board, who has a meeting tonight as well. So what our plan is for next year is to, and we have to bring this forward to our board to continue a relationship with you guys to continue at South Lyon East High School. We want to have a liaison officer in both of our buildings. This particular request is for the remainder of this year for South Lyon High School. With this arrangement, and certainly we will be looking at what next year brings within the next few months, because obviously it's coming up fast. So our overall goal is to have a presence in both of our high schools with a police officer. And we need to be good stewards of our finances and make sure that whoever we're cooperating with, whether it be South Lyon City or with you guys, that we are getting the best bang for our buck and the safety for our students.
Well, that's the only question that I had, and as everybody on our board knows, because I say it every time, I teach at a high school in Warren with an SRO, and I go to school each day feeling a lot better about having a full-time police officer in my workplace. And my daughter goes to South Lyon High School, and it has been challenging for me to see that South Lyon East has this great resource and that South Lyon High School does not. And I feel that the staff and the students at South Lyon High School deserve the same level of service with a dedicated SRO at the building like South Lyon East has. And I'm not sure if South Lyon High School will have the same level of videos that Ms. Fisher provides on the website with Officer Biggers.
That's for sure. That is
Yes.
for sure.
Can you make sure that happens for me?
I can't guarantee that. Fisher's Hook is tough to beat. So.
Yes. And I think I wanted to point out, just, especially within the packet information today, the SRO is not about response time. And I'm saying that as a person who has worked in a building where that's the case. And it's about prevention, and especially, like you had mentioned, building these relationships with students and staff. And I think what is really valuable is to highlight the relationships and the responsibilities that are in the job description that is in our that is in our packet. And I can't express to you how happy I would be to have a full-time school resource officer at South Lyon High School.
Our
I think it's time.
school board is committed to having an officer in both of the high schools moving forward, and I think that's really what your question is, and it was in the onset. And so we are committed to do that moving forward.
Okay.
My question is this, or will it be, in the school's budget? I think it's surely a school responsibility for the safety of the children as well as the education. And they have to have a safe environment. I have no quarrel with what has been proposed, up to this point with this board. But I think ongoing, somehow or other, it's got to be as valuable as some of the electables in the school's budget.
Sure, and I would agree, and I think on behalf of the school board that they are making that commitment moving forward. They were ready to make that commitment last year and weren't able to get a collaborative agreement to do that in both schools. And frankly, the presence of the City of South Lyon Police Department, they've been very responsive, and I think that was part of their comfort level in moving forward. Even though they weren't able to have an officer dedicated from that police department every single day, they did feel as though they had response time that was appropriate and the support that was necessary. But that too needs to increase now with the environment that we're living in. They feel and are committed to having an officer in the schools, both schools.
Good.
Ben, is this on the school board's agenda tonight, and if so, have they acted on it?
They have approved it, yes.
Okay. I'm one of 7 people that have been interested in having SROs at both schools, because we have residents that attend both schools.
Sure.
And There are a few things more important than public safety. I can't name any, actually. And my 3 kids and my wife are in South Lyon schools every day. So this is something that I think about every day. I don't have a student at your high school, Mr. Schilling, but I will very soon. Or Scaling, I said Schilling, sorry, thinking of Red Sox pitching. You know, I support this SRO, and I wish that we weren't paying for both, because I think it should be a shared effort. That being said, if you're unable to get an agreement in place, which it seems like you haven't been, and I assume you've been trying, I've been pestering school board members myself for some time, and I know they've been working to try to bring something to the table, and it, for whatever reason, hasn't worked. I haven't participated in those conversations, but I don't want to wait anymore. We've waited too long, as far as I'm concerned. So if it comes down to us having to do this tonight to make it happen, then I wish I could vote more than once, because it, as John mentioned at the beginning of this discussion, took us seconds the first time, and it's not going to take us much more, I don't think, when it finally gets to the vote, because I know where all of these folks stand. And it's hard to put a dollar on public safety, safety of our kids. And I'm not trying to over-dramatize it. It's the reality of what the world we live in today.
Yes, it is.
So I will be supporting this. My hope is that at the end of the school year, you're able to go back and work something out with the city that fits the bill, that fits a similar mold to East, so there can be someone in place there at the city's expense. But if you can't, then I won't change my position on it either. I'll say that right now, because this is a small price to pay for, the benefits that Ms. Fisher was talking about just when she gave her report a few minutes ago. So thank you for coming tonight and proposing this to us, and I appreciate the school board continue to follow through on this, because it's critical.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say, I did some calls around, because I've been asked over and over how many Lyon Township kids attend South Lyon High School. And I was told today that there's 1,243 enrolled total kids, and about 440 of them are from Lyon Township. So, and to me, it doesn't matter. Invisible lines don't matter to me. It's a community, and it's the safety of our kids, and it's a different time we live in. So I would do anything to put somebody in that school to make it safe, and that's just my thought. The money part of it, I'm kind of looking at this contract that Patty was going over, and I think they arrived at the cost sharing by the contract we had for East, I believe, and they prorated it, and it looks like it came to about $45,000 is what you're thinking the last 4. Now, are you a 50-50 split on that? Is that what you're asking? So we'd be 22.5 on this?
We would pay up to 50%, yes.
So you're asking for about 22,500 for 4 months. That's
correct.
That's basically what this would be. Okay?
And, can I clarify one thing? I want to make it very clear that I'm not being critical of anyone in this process, and I hope my comments didn't come across that way. And I would like to offer, I'm sure there'd be many people up here offering to sit down in a group over the summer and discuss, how this will go forward after this year, because, I know there are people on all sides of this issue that support this, and so it's no specific person's fault that we're at this point. So I don't want my comments to come. My passion is for having someone there, and it has nothing to do with necessarily how long it's taken to get to this point. So I don't want my comments to come across as critical. That's all.
Thank you.
You won't see it immediately, but tonight we approved 214 more potential taxpayers.
Right, yeah, we are keeping track of that as well, so.
All right, with that being said, would anyone like to put a motion on the table?
I'll make a motion to consider to approve the agreement for assignment and use of a school resource officer as amended by Patty Carcone and the corrections made in the contract language.
Support.
All right, we have a motion and support on the table, and I am going to open this up for any other comments from the audience or from the board members. It's open. If anyone would like to come up and talk about it, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address, and see, I can do it this time.
Kathleen Hansen, 29360 Roediger Court, New Hudson, Michigan, 48165. I just want to add a comment. I was a support staff person for South Lyon Schools for 14 years, and during that time, we were able to have a resource person in the building, both at Millennium as well as South Lyon at that time. And one of the great benefits, besides school safety, was the positive impact it made on the attitudes of kids towards police and fire. So I just wanted to say there is a benefit there that's huge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Dan Pelchat, 255 Wellington. I'm just glad to hear that we're going to be able, I know how important this is to the city of South Lyon and our police department over there. And I just wanted to clarify that, you know, it just seemed like, and I don't know, I won't speculate on why it seemed like we were a little bit out of the loop on this. I know that there was a little bit of a stalemate and whatever led to this. At the end of the day, you guys are getting done what needs to be done. There needs to be a cop in this building. I can't speak to why this didn't happen earlier. It was a separate council. We have a new council. And really all I want to tell you guys is I can promise you there is interest from the city of South Lyon, whether we do it percentage-wise or whatever, and committed to getting a solution to this, to getting, whether it's a South Lyon police officer or an Oakland County police officer, in this building going forward as soon as this contract is up. And we just want a seat at the table. That's all. So I appreciate you guys. This is obviously a very important subject nationally and locally. I am in no way here representing the school district, but I am an employee of the school district, and this is very important to me as a person as well. So completely separate from anything political. So thank you very much for your time tonight, and I look forward to discussing this in the future with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mike Quarlacker, 223 East Lake Street. I am a city resident and a concerned parent of a high school student as well that attends South Lyon High School. I just want to sincerely thank this board and our school board for making it possible to have a resource officer at the high school. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of parents that actually live in the city that's going to put some pressure on the city council to contribute next year. But thank you for putting our kids first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Cruz, 30,000 Cobblestone Lane. I would like to echo what he just said and thank the board for stepping up to the plate. 22.5 is chump change when it comes to, you're looking at the safety of thousands of students on a daily basis. But I would also remind you that Sandy Hook was an elementary school. I would hope that during the summer, when you re-look at this for next year, you don't just look at high schools as potential sources of danger for our children. I've got 2 grandkids that just moved into Lyon Township, and they go to South Lyon schools. And I'd sleep a lot better knowing that they're protected as well. So the issues may not be as frequent, and they may not be as plentiful as what was mentioned here tonight by the principal of South Lyon East, but they're still going to be there. So going forward, just think about the other schools as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Shacker, 59878 Mulberry Circle. I'd like to tell the board thank you from the residents in my neighborhood who were asking me about this today. They know I attend these meetings. They know I talk to a number of you people as well. And what I mean by you people is to you, the board. With that being said, there are some concerns by the residents that I'd like to just ask a couple quick questions of you. First of all, the question that's come up is will this be an Oakland County sheriff? The residents here feel that it should be because that's who we support through our tax dollars. The second question that has come up, that's came up already by, I forgot what gentleman, but it was asked for how long this would be. The concern of the residents is that if South Lyon does not have a budget in place, that we might be picking up the additional tab for this. And as you asked Mr. Hicks, and it got explained, our worry now is the shifting to the point of what Sean said. It doesn't matter the amount of dollars, we just don't want to be stuck carrying that tab either. I don't mean to say that I support, our kids being unsafe. As a number of you know, I have children in the high school and junior high. So I want them to be protected like your children or your grandchildren. But at the same time, I don't think that it'd be fair for us to move forward in any proactive matter that will make this a permanent fix for our residents either.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know it behooves everyone to not like the idea of a millage, but I dare say that you put this, say you're going to go into all the schools, and it's going to cost X amount of dollars. You figure it out, and of course South Lyon would have to put it on their citizens too. But I can't imagine it not being approved if it was presented rightly.
Thank you.
Tim Davids, 25801 Belladonna. Again, I'd like to reiterate, thanks again for your stance on this issue. I just wanted to reiterate again what was just spoken. Hopefully some sort of long-term deputy can be put in place, as again, Sean, I have a daughter who will be at the high school in 7 or 8 years, and again, maybe this summer you could get some sort of cost sharing worked out with the city and push that idea forward so that this deputy can be in place permanently. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just wanted to say, when they mentioned the elementary schools, that I'm sure the school systems are evaluating all their schools to make sure that there's other things they can do, they're doing them. And I have no doubt about that, but that would help alleviate some of the concern to know that anybody just can't walk in. I try to get in Dolson to deliver some stuff. Oh boy, it was not easy.
Not easy to get in.
Did you have your ID with you? Or
I
did
did
you have
not.
to go back to the car?
I had to go back to the car.
All right, anyone else?
Yeah, I have a couple comments, I guess, just to answer, I think Chris's questions you might already been answered, but yeah, the contract is for Oakland County Sheriff's deputy. The term right now is 4 months, and that's I guess the length of the agreement right now. I guess as far as this topic, I've only been on the board for just, 2016. So, and since being elected, I've had neighbors and residents ask me about the, why South Lyon East has one and why the high school doesn't. And it's been kind of a constant chatter, and it only, it grew extremely loud after the events recently. So I'm just glad that we're able to at least get a solution going for 4 months and allow the school board to continue to explore their options and funding options and everything. And I'd like to think that we've solved this problem, or at least coming close to a temporary solution, and then moving on to a permanent solution. And I guess I'm in favor of this, and I'm pretty excited to get this checked off the list.
Okay, any others? All right, come on up.
Ray Bizio, 22563 Indianwood. I've been involved with the South Lyon High Schools for 10 years now, and this discussion is very enlightening. I have two concerns, though, that as far as finance, we also have Salem Township and Livingston County that should be encompassed in as far as the school board. Those numbers there. The other one is we have a sheriff's deputy assigned to the school to South Lyon High School, and the possibility of next fall having to train a new officer from the city. I've been in the high school for a long time, and my son was a liaison at East, and it's not that easy. The rapport, and what I'm seeing with Dave right now, that's only been there a few days, and I'm not sure if he's going to be the sheriff's deputy. I'm not even into that part of it. But those are the things that concern me. We have fine officers in the city, a lot of good guys, but I hate to lose that, to train someone for 4 months and then lose them. That's my statement.
Well, thank you.
If I can.
Go ahead.
I guess when I had talked to some members of the school board, it was their, they wanted to get somebody in there quickly and then go through an interview process to try and get somebody in there in a permanent measure. So they'd probably be able to speak better at it than I am. But yeah, I share that same concern about you need to have one person that's going to be dedicated and build those relationships and create, a better atmosphere than having people swap in and out on a, varying basis.
Okay.
Ray, just to reiterate, when we were approached, John and I and Michelle, by a school board member, and they had informed us that they were going to look not only at Salem Township, but also the kids that go from Green Oak. And so I'm sure they're working on their plan and trying to figure out contributions from those other two communities, as well as Lyon and the city. So I think they have their work cut out for them, but I think they're on the right track. And I reiterate what the rest of these board members have said. And I'm really pleased and proud that we're stepping to the plate for this. And of course, it comes down to the vote, so.
I looked up, if I'm not mistaken, on the school district boundaries, and there's a ridiculous amount of municipalities that are in it. I mean, it's not just Green Oak and Salem. There's Northfield, Novi, Wixom, Milford Township, City of South Lyon Township.
Yep.
I mean, it's.
But a lot of these communities also have schools in them.
Mm-hmm.
And they contribute probably to the schools in their communities, I would think. So it would kind of be a wash, maybe. But that's something they have to look into. And the school board said that they were going to look into that, and this was going to give them a reprieve to start looking at the options. At least they're going to get somebody immediately. And that was the big thing. Okay? Good. Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and we have a support, and I would like you to call this one by roll.
All right. Lisa Blade.
Yes.
Michelle Cash.
Yes.
Patricia Carcone.
Yes.
John Hicks.
Yes.
Christopher Enlow.
Yes.
Tom O'Neill.
Yes.
John Dolan.
Yes. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go on to the real important stuff. Terminate a light at Tanglewood entrance.
I'll take this. I had been approached by one of the Tanglewood Homeowners Association officers about either removing or not continue to pay for a light that has been there at the entrance of Spyglass Hill and 10 Mile Road. They had requested this light many years ago, and the township board at that time approved it. And the homeowners association pays a fee of $288 a year to have that light on. When they asked me if they can terminate it, it's really not up to me. I really have to bring it to the township board. Plus, I wanted to see how much it would cost to remove it if the township board didn't want to continue to pay for the light. And I want to explain to you, too, that we collect the $288 on an annual basis. We bill September to September, so September 1st through August 31st. And we have to bill in the past, so Tanglewood did do their obligation to pay last year's bill, so they paid up. It's totally up to the board. It's about $500 to remove it. I did drive by again just to make sure I knew where it was. I have no problem with us paying it under our street light budget. Again, it's $288. I think any lighting on 10 Mile can only help. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and again, it's up to the board, Tanglewood also paid their bill from last year. So there would be no more obligation for them going forward, but it's certainly up to the pleasure of the board what they want to do. But that's how it was. I had to wait. Our DTE guy got changed also, so they sent it to me in writing. I sent it to them. They sent back a letter saying it'd be about $500 to remove it if we wanted it to be removed. So I tried to have it on last year's agenda, but I didn't put the paperwork in the packet, so. So it's really up to the pleasure of the board what they would like to do.
Oh, for $288, why would we want to take a perfectly good working light that lays on 10 Mile, off 10 Mile?
We could pay for it for 2 years for the cost of removing it.
Exactly.
We're just
That
putting
doesn't
one down
even make
here
sense.
at Grand River
Right.
and Martindale, right?
Right.
I mean, we're trying to add to the safety,
Trying to
so
add
I would
lights to
support
the
just
road.
keeping it for now as well.
Well, myself, I would be in favor of putting it in our budget to light it and keep it lit.
John, I was contacted by one of the homeowners reps there too in Tango, and she expressed that it was okay either way. They just didn't want to pay for it anymore. They put up their own internal lighting that they're paying for. So I don't think there's a strong
Well,
sentiment either way.
they use a service, and that's actually who wrote to us on their behalf, but I've talked to the other John Bell. He came in to pay his taxes, and I told him I was gonna have it on the agenda, so, anyways, I'm ready to make a motion if that's the pleasure of the board.
Does anyone else want to talk about that?
Nope, report, make a motion.
In favor of keeping it lit? Okay.
I'll make a motion to have the light at Spyglass Hill and 10 Mile, the responsibility of the township as a whole, since their last bill of last September 2017, going forward.
We have support anywhere?
I'll support.
All right, we have a motion and a support. Any further talk about that?
Is it the money or is it shining in somebody's window?
No, it's the money.
Fair question.
Yeah, it is a fair question.
It's actually on the north side.
Yeah,
It's on the north side of
keeps 10 Mile
10
lit.
Mile.
We put these up
That's
all the
Spyglass.
time, and,
Yeah.
okay, so we have a motion and a support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, keep the light lit.
Right. And I'll get a letter off to them saying that we're gonna take responsibility from it from now on.
Okay.
So,
Moving on to USA To Go, special land use. Want to take that one?
Absolutely. So on the west side of Milford Road, just south of Flagstar Bank, the Planning Commission has been in talks and review with the applicant for a gas station convenience store slash Tim Hortons drive-through restaurant. And this is located in the B2 district. This is a special land use. The convenience store and the drive-through are special land uses in this B2 district. So while the Planning Commission has approved the site plan, they have subsequently made some recommendations for approval on both of those items, and we'll walk through that. They have held 2 public hearings for this project, one specifically for the gas station convenience store use and one for the drive-through use. And after some back and forth after those hearings were held, the Planning Commission on February 12th recommended approval of both of them to this board. The site that we're talking about is just over 2 acres. It's, as I mentioned, it's zoned B2, but the building itself is just under 7,000 square feet of floor space, some of which is dedicated to the convenience store use, and then the Tim Hortons is actually going to be moved from the opposite side of Milford Road in the Sunoco. Throughout the process, they also, the ZBA reviewed some signage that is included in this project, so they've provided for signage for both the Tim Hortons and the gas station use, as well as a variance to the northern entrance. The site, as Brent has put up, the site has a driveway onto Lion Center Drive, and the location of the monument sign on Lion Center Drive required a variance based on some utility easements that are along that road. I mentioned the site plan has already been approved, but I want to run through some of the review standards for a special land use that this body should consider. In terms of compatibility with adjacent uses, we find that it is in line with the surrounding land use character to the north and the east. The property to the west is vacant currently, but is zoned for commercial land uses moving forward. And then perhaps most significantly is the property to the south, which is New Hudson Cemetery. As part of the discussions that the Planning Commission held in terms of minimizing impact to the cemetery, the applicant has proposed a 6-foot-high masonry wall along the entirety of that property. The Planning Commission has reviewed the materials and worked through that process and is happy that the wall material is going to be a brick that matches the facade of the building itself. So they're happy there. In terms of compatibility with the master plan, the site is designated highway commercial on the future land use map, and we find this type of use consistent with that. Public services are provided in the way of water and sanitary sewer, and there is underground detention proposed on the property. So Leslie can speak more to that in a minute. In terms of impact on traffic, there was a traffic study completed by Fleece and Vanderbrink, and they found that pass-by trips as a result of this use are not going to really increase traffic volumes or the adjacent road network. So, but you will notice that on the site plan there are right turn tapers that are warranted, and they are shown on the plan along Milford Road. One of the criteria is to determine detrimental effects, and we noted that the cemetery to the south is our biggest concern as part of this project, and we find that it's been addressed, and it was addressed satisfactorily to the Planning Commission as well. Isolation of existing uses. There's no residential land use nearby that would be isolated, so we're happy with the fit in terms of this commercial use. Special land uses should be based on need, and that criteria has been addressed. There's a note on sheet C3 of your packet, but the largest need that's identified by the applicant is to accommodate drivers heading south down Milford Road rather than turning east to go to the Sunoco on the east side of Milford Road. We don't find that there's a detrimental effect in terms of economic well-being to the community. There will be retail activity, increased tax base, and provide employment for 7 people in conjunction with this use. Compatibility with the natural environment is the last special land use criteria, and we've noted throughout there's substantial lot coverage as a result of this project. 57.2% of the property is going to be covered. And so while there's a significant amount of impervious surface area, we find that there is a landscape plan that achieves our ordinance standards, and some of the retention features on the site will help minimize detrimental flow off of the site. As I mentioned, the Planning Commission recommended approval for both the convenience store and the drive-through use. And I can take any questions or turn it over to Leslie or the applicant.
Okay, Leslie, any questions for Brian? Okay.
Go ahead.
No engineering issues regarding the special land use.
Okay. Let's turn it over to the developer and let's see what.
Thank you. I'm Brent Levanway with Boss Engineering. Also here tonight is Kevin Bannum with USA To Go Gas Stations. Again, we're before you folks for the special land use permit for the gas station, the convenience store, the Tim Hortons restaurant, and the Tim Hortons drive-through. The project actually dates back to 2016 with us, and at the time, Kevin had just tied up this parcel And as we started working with the township, it became evident that this made a lot of sense as well. Obviously, this is Lions Center Drive here, this is Milford Road here. And so this plan has evolved significantly since our first discussions with the consultants and the Planning Commission. And we've reached the point today that we've received the site plan approval from Planning Commission. We've received the variances for the signs, and we've received the recommendation of special land use permit approval from the Planning Commission as well. So we're here this evening to request final approval of those, and certainly would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Anyone like to ask some questions?
Sure.
Go for it.
I guess first question is probably for the applicant. What's going to happen to the existing Tim Hortons facility across the street?
Will be relocated.
So that's what's moving there, and it's more of the full service restaurant. Okay. Is the architecture of the restaurant itself, is that similar to the one that we have at the south end of the township, or is that going to be similar to? Okay.
So this is the front facade facing Milford Road. It's a combination. We've got have the cultured stone, the brick, central entrance, canopies, signage.
Okay. Well, it looks very nice. That's good. I guess I don't have any issues with the special land use for this type of thing. I know that's what we're mainly talking about. I have some other ancillary things that we may want to talk to that are more road commission related, such as now that you're extending that the southbound lane further to the drive entrance, that there may need to be some signage changes up at Lion Center Drive and whatnot. So it eliminates the right turn only and makes it also a through lane as well. And then I guess I don't know if you've met with the road commission too, but from an access management point, there are two drive approaches that are pretty darn close together with Bell Tire, which the more I look at this and knowing the history of the site, because this started when I was on Planning Commission, when you just had the southern piece.
Right.
I guess I really don't see a better option than what's presented, but we've been thrown curveballs before from the road commission, so.
Yeah, in this particular case, knowing those exact concerns, we actually had applied for our permits from the road commission, and they've been granted based on these geometrics for Lions Center and Milford Road.
Any more questions, Chris?
Question.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I believe you mentioned that the wall on the south property line was going to match the brick.
Yes, it's going to match the orange brick on the facade. That's what the wall's going to look like.
Okay.
Physically, that's what it's going to look like with the columns.
Got it, okay.
The actual brick itself is called out on the construction plans, the specific
Okay.
supplier and color.
All right, excellent, because I thought maybe I...
That's not orange.
All right, good. And is there any concern, I guess Leslie, you might be able to answer that, regarding a cemetery with a gas station next to a cemetery? Is there...
Well, my biggest concern, they've actually already submitted their detailed engineering review, and we have our draft letter completed. But we're going to recommend that they perform ground penetrating radar before they build the wall. That's to protect the cemetery.
Okay.
So that there isn't any, that we're not encroaching on any burial sites.
Okay.
The project, and I'm sure that I'm going to guess that the applicant would like to not go down that road also. So that, we use that, it's really like an X-ray of the ground, and you can tell if excavation has occurred, and it's a very handy tool in situations like this.
And as far as the gas station and any kind of potential to, okay. All right.
Can I ask you, just because I'm having trouble with what these plans are, we use, and we live right in New Hudson, so we use the other gas station quite a bit. Now, people have, even though you say don't turn into the gas station, they run the sign over, they've come right off, there and still turn in. They don't come around the way they should at the light. So how is this one, it's gonna come in and out both ways, or you're only able to come in from the south? Because I can't tell by this drawing. There's too many lines.
No, it is, you're talking about Milford Road, right?
Yes,
Milford
I
Road.
apologize. Yes, Milford
it's-
Road.
It's unrestricted.
Oh, so you can come across
It can be
2
left
lanes of
turn or
traffic?
right turn.
Okay. Yikes. All right.
So what you do?
Well,
We'll keep going.
does the turn lane go further down then? Or is the turn lanes all the way to the light, I think?
Yeah, there's a center turn lane the whole way.
The whole
from-
way front to
yeah.
the light, okay. All right.
So yeah, left turns in should be okay.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I don't have anything else.
I can't understand.
I think it looks great. I really like it, and I like the wall to protect the cemetery. I think that's wonderful.
I'm sorry, I have another question. Is there an opportunity for, I see that it's Tim Hortons on the one side, is there an opportunity for another, I've been at some where I think there's like an ice cream store, shop that's also one of the partners? Is there an
No,
opportunity for that?
just convenience store. So there will be convenience store on the one portion, Tim Hortons on the other.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve special land use AP 1756 USA to go as presented.
I'll support.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? Anyone like to say?
I think the planning commission did a fabulous job, and I think Kevin brought a beautiful building to our community, and I am very excited personally, because I love Tim Hortons, and I can't wait. Just can't wait. I cannot wait.
This one's closer.
I mean, it's a circle for me. Zip, zip, zip through there, get my tea and a donut or a bagel. I'm so excited. So we have no place to get a donut here. I can't wait. Well, that you don't have to get out of your car. I didn't say that. Apologies.
Would you like to say something? Come on up.
You gotta go down to
Like, it's got a beautiful one down there. I went there.
I have 2 grandparents in the cemetery there. Is this wall going to be high enough that you won't just see the top of the building and a whole
Well,
bunch
it
of
won't be
stuff?
that
or
high,
what?
but it'll be 6 foot.
6 foot? Is there any landscaping along in like front of the
It's a pretty good looking wall.
wall?
It looks pretty nice.
There is landscaping? Will it be
But it is a nice looking wall. I think it's going to do that very,
over
very
top
nice.
of the? Okay, I just,
No, I
so
get it.
there's no drainage issues?
It'll be all taken care of.
They're all accommodating their own size?
Yeah, there's underground stormwater tanks on the site.
All right, we have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All set.
How long to build?
When can we do our ground penetrating?
Oh, excited.
All right, moving on.
Batter.
Consideration to amend the adoption of the 215 International
Have to
Fire
walk there.
Code. Chief, come on up. I don't even know where that thing is.
So to be consistent, excuse me, with the building department, since we enforce and inspect together, they already have adopted, they already automatically adopt the 2015 International Building Code, or IBC. We're currently under the 2012 IFC, or Fire Code, and we just want to, again, be consistent so that we're giving the same message to businesses. The thing to remember with the new fire code is that it applies towards businesses that are getting their C of O or their permits after the code is adopted. So it's not retroactively. Retroactively, we don't go back to 1990s and start enforcing the 2015 fire code, and it is a maintenance code. So it's primarily aimed at changing businesses that have come about in the last few years, such as the microbreweries and the size of CO2 tanks, also the memory care centers and means of egress, and there aren't a lot of significant changes. A lot of the language that is out there is more for the fire service, for the Fire Prevention Bureau, so that they have a better understanding of enforcement. And I will take any questions if I can.
Any questions for the chief?
Did Brian say that your new software was going to be able to upload this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, then which I hadn't thought of tonight, but yeah, that was mentioned that.
You thought of it. I know you did.
We said that we worked on that.
Yes.
Yeah, in a few weeks, I think they're getting the demo, and so if it does get adopted, I know this is a first reading, but if it gets adopted, then we'll just upload the 2015.
And that's relatively seamless with.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be any issue, and I think we'll still have the 12 up there just for reference, so it shouldn't be an issue at all.
I think it's great. So.
Any other questions? All right.
This is first reading, right?
Yep.
First reading.
Do two.
Yep.
I guess I appreciate the questions, or the answering of my questions. I did get about 6 pages worth of responses on the differences from 2012 and 2015. And I guess, the stuff I'm more tuned into on my day job is just the Appendix D and laying out, buildings and whatnot, and then for fire coverage and area apparatus pads and all that stuff. So I guess part of that doesn't apply, but some does. So it's good to see the 2015 version in.
I appreciate the questions up front, so I look prepared as well. Okay, thank you.
All right. You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to amend the adoption of 2015 International Fire Code.
I'll second.
For first reading?
For first reading.
First reading, we have a motion and a support. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. On our way.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Unbelievable.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.
John wants to stay.
8:37
Hicks
p.m.
wants to stay.